Okay, so this lesson is on how to find your subjects and your predicates, and it's our second lesson on sentences. Okay, so basically, if you can recognize the type of sentence you have, you will find that there are certain order or certain places within that sentence that subjects and predicates are typically found. And so we're going to look at 4 different types of sentences and where to find the subjects and predicates in those 4 types. So the first type we're going to look at are your simple declarative sentences, right? Or declarative statements, most of the sentences that we write. And most of these sentences begin with the subject. So you'll have the subject first and then the predicate. An example, loggers cut special trees. So if we divide our sentence, loggers is our complete subject and our simple subject. And then cut special trees is our complete predicate. And cut is our simple predicate, being the verb in the sentence. So this is most of the sentences, pretty straightforward. The second type of sentence that we're going to look at is a little more complicated. Those are your interrogative sentences, your questions, okay? Many questions, I'm going to say greater than 90%, are going to begin with the verb or part of the verb phrase, such as the helping verb. The helping verb is always considered part of the predicate. So when the verb starts the sentence, that is considered part of the predicate. It's going to be followed by the subject and then the rest of the predicate. So you're going to have 2 lines. If you were drawing your line separating your subject from your predicate, you're going to have 2. So this is how it would look, right? Do most people understand the delicate balance of nature? So here we have our helping verb do, and our main verb is understand. Do understand. If this were a declarative sentence, it would be written, most people do understand the delicate balance of nature. So do is our helping verb, understand is our main verb, people is our simple subject. Okay, so we would divide our sentence along these lines right here where the columns are. Most modifies people, so that's part of our complete subject, most people. And our complete predicate is do and understand the delicate balance of nature. So when you have a question, you're going to typically have predicate, subject, predicate, or verb, subject, verb in the simple forms. In the second example here, this is a linking verb, not a helping verb here. Are some trees too small? So the first part of our predicate here is the verb, are. Then we have our subject, some trees, and then we have the rest of the predicate, which in this case is actually predicate adjective, right? Too small, small describing trees. If this were a declarative sentence, it would be some trees are too small. Okay, so if you are struggling with questions, rewriting it so that you put the subject first, you make it a statement instead of a question can help. But I do encourage you to try and learn to see, to expect, oh, you know what? I have a question mark at the end of this sentence. I'm probably going to get a VSV kind of sentence structure, right? This is the typical pattern that you're going to find in a question, whether it is just the rest of the predicate, like too small, or it includes the verb, like understand the delicate balance, okay, VSV. The third sentence type that we're going to look at are sentences that begin with the words there or here. Okay, so there and here are adverbs. Okay, they're not nouns. They're not things, places. Okay, I know it feels like they're places, but they're really not. They're really adverbs. Okay, they're not nouns. And so because they're not nouns, they can never be the subject of your sentence. When a sentence starts with the words there are or here is, okay, then the predicate comes first, followed by the subject. So whatever follows the verb are or follows the verb is is actually your subject of your sentence. So some examples. There are the missing books. Okay, so here, books is our subject. Okay, the books are. Okay, they are there. So there is your adverb, are is your verb. This is predicate. The missing both describe books, so we would divide our sentence between are and the, with there and are being predicate, and the missing books being the subject. So yes, you literally have the verb and then the subject. So we were going to label it, right? We might label it, go red, are and books, VS, okay? The second example here is, right? So here is your lunch. And in this example, here is your adverb, is the verb, lunch is your subject. So we would divide our sentence between is and your, with here is being predicate, your lunch being the complete subject, and again, this would be a verb subject order. And that's totally fine. It's okay that the verb or the predicate is first in the sentence. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we talk about when we talk about creating variety in your sentence structure. Right? If every sentence starts subject, verb, subject, verb, subject, verb, as some of you saw in your essays, it gets very boring, right? So it's okay to have the predicate first. If you're struggling to find it, one thing you can do is, like with questions, you can reorder it so that you end with the words there or here instead of start with them. So if we were to do that, you now see the missing books are there. And now it's probably clear that books is our subject, are is the verb, and there would be adverb. And in the second sentence, your lunch is here, lunch is subject, the verb is, and here is your adverb. That doesn't change. This is still subject, this is still predicate, regardless of which order it is. So if we do it up here, the same words are predicate and the same words are subject. Okay? Okay, so our last sentence type that we're going to look at are imperative sentences, the commands. Okay? And in commands, the subject is usually not stated. Okay? The predicate is the entire sentence. So why is it a complete sentence? Well, because the subject is you and it's understood to be the subject. We understand the person giving the command is talking to you. So we don't need to say it. Okay? It's understood. So you is still the subject of the sentence. It's just not written into the sentence. So for example, plant these seedlings. Plant is your verb. The whole thing is predicate. Plant these seedlings. The entire sentence is nothing but predicate. Why? Well, because we understand that when somebody says plant these seedlings, they mean you plant these seedlings, and so the understood you is your subject. The sentence does have a subject. It's just not written into it. What we do is we note it in front of the sentence, usually, in parentheses, the word you, to show we understand the subject of the sentence is you. It's just not being stated or written.